and welcome back to another episode of Last Minute Laura. My name is Laura, and today I'm starting another dye experiment. So, all around my house, there's tons of ground cover growth, lots of ivy, lots of vines. Some of them are growing up onto the house, and some of them have started to grow up onto the windows. The main culprit of these window growers is English ivy. So today I went and I cut back some of the ivy. Don't worry, I didn't remove too much, just enough so that I can get light into my dye room again. And I took those trimmings and I'm going to do a dye bath with them. I've got a good basket full of these English ivy trimmings, and what I'm going to do to get started is just cut them up into slightly more manageable size and add them to my dye pot. For my dye pot today, I'm using rainwater that I collected out during our last few thunderstorms, so not necessary, but just kind of interesting. And I'm going to be simmering it probably for about an hour, and I'm hoping to get some kind of wonderful color from it. I've seen in a few dye books that English ivy is referenced more than once, so that makes me feel like we're gonna get something. I just don't know exactly what we're gonna get, so stay tuned to see that. I'm preparing my wool. I'm using Briggs & Little Regal weight wool and one skein of sport weight wool. So I'm gonna do 2 skeins today in the English ivy, and I'm using natural washed white. So it's not a stark bleached white like I like to normally use. I thought I'd try with something a little bit different. So this washed white just has a slightly creamier tinge to it. That is already in my pot of soapy water sitting on the stove on a medium heat. I'm not gonna let it simmer, I'm just getting it nice and hot so that all of the oils can leach out of the yarn. Then I'm gonna wash it and pre-mordant it. I'm going to be using alum and cream of tartar as my mordants for today, and I think I'm probably going to do an iron water solution after bath. If those things don't really make sense to you, I'll link a couple of videos down below showing how I make my iron water solution and kind of what it's used for. But I'll be talking through it through this video as well. So, first things first, I'm going to cut up my English ivy and add it to my dye pot. But before that, I just want to show you something. One of the pieces that I tore out of this window section had some really good roots on it. So I've put it into a cup of rainwater, and I'm just gonna let it sit there for a few days to see if it's staying alive. And if it stays alive, I'm going to pot it up and keep it as a house plant. I think English ivy is so beautiful, and if I can keep it alive through the winter as a house plant, it will definitely make me smile. So I'm gonna get started cutting up these pieces of ivy and adding them to my dye pot. And I just have the wool sitting here in soapy water, like I said, on a nice low heat. I had it on medium until it got hot, and now I'm keeping it on low. I'm just gonna let it sit in here for another half hour, and then I'll wash out the soap. Okay friends, so it's been about, I'm gonna say, close to an hour now that this has been sitting, and it's finally starting to give up some color and soften. These are some tough leaves, very waxy and very resilient to boiling, but it's starting to give up a bit of a greenish yellow color. Happy about that. I turned the heat off just so that I could get it to stop boiling because it started boiling. And now turn the heat back on to low. I've done this so that I don't burn my fingers on the pot lid. But now I'm going to wash the soap out of my yarn, and then I'm going to add the yarn to another pot with some alum powder in it as a mordant. Sorry, I'm hearing my cat meowing upstairs. So this pot of water I'm actually reusing from a previous dye bath, so it's already got my mordants in it. I'm using alum powder and cream of tartar as my mordants for today. I'm not adding any more because the dye bath from my previous batch should have enough to manage this next batch. So I'm just going to rinse out the yarn now, and then I'm going to add it to that pre-mordant bath. Okay, so now I'm just gonna let that yarn sit for about an hour, hour and a half, And I'm gonna leave the English ivy in the dye bath simmering for that time to see if I can get out any extra color. And then it's gonna be time to strain out the plant material and get to dyeing. So I'll see you then. So you can see some bubbles formed when I was pouring it. That hasn't happened before with a plant. There's no soap left in the dye bath. It's just water with the ivy bits, but the ivy caused some bubbles. It's kind of a yellowy green right now, but again, nothing really fancy, just kind of like a soft yellowy green. I'm hoping that it'll pull a little more of the yellow and green out of the water and soak it into the yarn. But if not, I'll just modify it with an iron afterbath because I tested a little area on a paper towel and I got a much darker sort of mossy green. So hopefully we can get some of that fun stuff going on in here. But first I'm gonna just see what the color is with no modifier, and I'm gonna let it sit on a medium-low heat for about half an hour, and then I'm gonna turn the heat off and let it sit for the rest of the afternoon to see what we get. Okay, so I just got back from going out and doing my thing with my mom, and this has been off heat now for probably 2 hours. Still warm. Actually, it's still pretty hot. But now I'm going to add the iron. I'm feeling like this color isn't enough. I need more from this color. So I'm going to add about 1 cup of my iron water solution as a color modifier. And then we'll just let it sit overnight and see what kind of color we get. All right. That's it, that's all. See you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day now. My yarn is looking greenish. I ended up hanging up half of it last night just because I thought we could maybe get some transition shades. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna wash it out now with some Eucalan wool wash just to soften it up a little, because the iron does make the yarn a little bit rougher. So I'm gonna soak it in the wool wash when I wash it out. I'm gonna leave it out here hanging to dry for the rest of the day, and then we'll see the final color tomorrow. But first, let me wash it out. Okay, so here is what we've got for now. I'm gonna let that sit for probably all day today, and then tomorrow morning when it's dry, I will show you the final overhead shot of it all skeined up. But I'll let you know, it's a pretty moss green. I really like it. It's like a soft sagey green, and I think it's going to be pretty cool once it's dry. There's a few flecks in it from where I did those ties, a few light little speckles throughout, and the one side does have a transition from like a lighter green down to a bit of a darker green. Smells like eucalyptus and wool wash, but I mean, it's pretty. I'm pretty excited to see what it looks like. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, friends, time for the final reveal. Da 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 da! English ivy, can you believe it? Look at how pretty this green turned out. I'm so happy with this color. It's like a very soft jade green. It's a beautiful, beautiful tone. Super breezy, I want to say. I really love how the different tones are showing up. Where I did the afterbath with that iron solution, there is a little darker green stretch of color going on through these skeins, and I think that it really came out quite beautiful. Kind of muted, but like in a, I want to just say it's soft jade. Maybe there's a little bit of a bright undertone on some of the sides. There's a few creamy freckles throughout the yarn where I did the tie-dyeing, but wow, do I ever love how that came out. If you remember, we started with a bleached white like that. So it is a pale shade, but it's definitely fully saturated all the way through the yarn. I'm really happy with this shade. I might be keeping these ones. I just feel like they would make such a pretty woodland fairy, maybe a cowl or a hooded cowl. Oh, I love them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below though. What do you think I should make with these? Or should I add them onto the shop? If you think I should add them onto the shop, check out the shop, www.lastminutelaura.ca, and you'll see if by the time this video comes out, if I've decided to put them on the shop or if I've decided to keep them. Check out the shop, and also if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I put out new videos every day of the week. I live stream Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. Eastern time until about 8:30 a.m. And then Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I put out edited videos like this. Videos where I show my natural dye, crochet tutorials, foraging videos, cooking stuff, whatever I'm in the mood for. I make edited videos about handmade everything. So definitely subscribe if you're into that sort of thing, and like the video if you like it, because it helps the channel out and I appreciate all of you that do. Anyways, friends, that is all that I've got for you today. These two beautiful skeins. English ivy, hand-dyed, naturally dyed, botanically dyed yarn straight from my garden. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!